screen says it.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, there it is.
there it
Look
is.
at
Hey,
that.
don't worry about it, Alan. I got it. Let's just
See?
keep going. I got it.
Come on, man.
All right, Terry, I apologize. Go ahead. You're up.
That's okay.
have to get back-
Is there anyone here from the Ventura chapter? And then next would be the Orange County Inland Empire chapter. If not, then the next one is Utah. And that person, I didn't respond. And Georgia is next. Okay,
There.
and Arizona. And Hawaii. We know there's
Hawaii.
for Hawaii.
Aloha.
Hi. Patricia Brown here, President of FANHS Hawaii State Chapter. I'm also a trustee, and I'm so excited about this meeting. This is the first time in 16 years that I've been a member that anybody talked about that I'm aware of, president's meeting like this. So this is really great. Thank you.
Your
Okay.
That's the
question.
question.
Oh, for
What
my
does FANHS mean to
question.
you?
Well, I tell you what FANHS means to me is I think of my dad every time I do something for FANHS. He was from Pangasinan, from Ordoneta, Pangasinan, Ilocano, and he worked himself up from the plantation, cane field plantation to the pineapple plantation to becoming a practical nurse, and told me to become a doctor. I couldn't stand blood, so I did the other thing. I said, you know, I went for a PhD. So that's where we are. And I think of him.
I want to just mention Dorothy.
And I like what, you know, I like what Ashley and Ashley and Caitlin, Ashley said about connecting and bridging the gaps. And I think that's really important too. Thank you.
Okay, for all of you that just joined in, we're going through the chapter representatives to answer what does FANHS mean to you, and we're going from the youngest chapter to the oldest. So the next up is Delano, and then it will be Texas. So Delano, Alex.
Yeah. You cheers a lot.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone.
Eleno.
Yeah, hi. I'm Alex Edelor, and I'm the president of the Delano chapter. We were chaptered in 2015, and we were chaptered in June, and by September, we held a 3-day celebration of the 50th anniversary of the famous Delano grape strike. So that is our claim to fame.
Right.
The reason for FANHS to me is to inspire our younger generation. I think what inspired me to pursue a chapter in Delano was a young kid, well, a young adult who was playing basketball, and he had a name in his back, and the name was to me a famous civic leader in Delano. And I told him, hey, your grandfather was a pretty important man. And he turned to me and said, well, I guess I heard so, but I don't know. And so to me, that struck a chord in me that our later generations do not know what our descendants had accomplished. And I didn't blame him. I blamed myself that I wasn't able to capture those memories and those events and to convey them to the younger generation to see how they can pursue their life and their pursuits the same way as my mom and dad, Manong Larry Itliong and Manong Philip Veracruz did. So that's it.
Thank you, Alex.
Okay. Pinky, you're next.
Thank you. Hi, all.
Hey, Pinky.
Hi, this is Pinky here in Houston, Texas chapter. So glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me in this chapter. So what does FANHS mean to me and to here in Houston? When I think of FANHS, I deeply think it's about self-love. It's about love for others and community. And it's also a way to combat and fight all the different things that our ancestors and that we and our struggles that we go through. It is a way for us to say we're here, right? And that we exist, we have existed, and we will continue to be here making extraordinary measures and experiences here in America. And so I appreciate being part of FANHS, and I'm glad to hear that we're no longer the baby of all the chapters, which is great, it's growing. But as we continue to grow, I see connection in the community. And I think that's what's very much needed, as Ashley had mentioned earlier, that we are connecting all the generations together. And so I really appreciate that. And that's why we're here for FANHS.
Thank you, Pinky.
Do we have anybody from the Greater Puget Sound chapter? And
That's
then
John Ragutis.
You're muted.
Unmute. Unmute, John.
Okay, I'm not from Puget Sound, Greater Chapter, whatever you're talking about.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm with Greater Seattle, and Barbara's already on here.
yeah.
I just want to say hi, John.
Yeah, what's up, Al?
Okay, and then
Oh,
next.
What are
you've
the
got to be-
veterans doing?
Okay, Joe. Okay, next would be Alameda chapter. I don't see Bob Balandra. He had signed up, but I don't see him on the thing. And then Chicago is Tito Rubens. And the Carolinas, if anybody knows how to contact the Carolinas, let us know. We don't have a contact person at all for the Carolina chapter. Next would be New Jersey, but I don't see Nestor. And then Yakima Valley. And then Sonoma County. Karen or Michael. I don't see Michael. So
Unmute.
Karen, you have to unmute, Karen.
Hi, I'm Karen Mejia Penrich from Sonoma County. I'm a Northern California trustee, but I was the former president of the Sonoma County chapter. Michael was unable to attend today, but what FANHS means to me is my father was a Manang who came, fought for our rights. And so what I want to do with FANHS is carry on the legacy of what he and the other Manangs, fought for. So that's what it means to me.
Okay, thank you, Karen. And Joni, do you want to do, you put it into chat, but did you want to say something about the Pennsylvania chapter? You're on mute. You have to unmute.
I'll just read what Kim emailed me. When I think of FANHS, I think of us as fervent seekers of Filipino American histories, lifestyle, and its traits.
What did you
Yes, we
say?
gather.
What did you say? I couldn't hear it.
It's in the chat, Alan, if you want to read it. It's good.
Say something about yourselves. We got some young people in here like Ashley that have no clue who you are.
Okay. I was trying to spit Terry's question and the guidelines, but since Alan asked, I'm Dr. Joan May Cordova, FANHS National President Emerita. Uncle Fred insists that all the Emerita, Judy, everybody use Emerita or Emeritus as their title, because in his famous words, your work is not finished. So we're not past. You don't, if you're an officer from before, you don't say I'm past president or past whatever, you're emeritus. So yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have anybody from St. Louis chapter? And then next up would be Michigan. And then Wisconsin. Going backwards, we're now on number 20, Rio Grande. And then Bob Luna, Central Valley. He's not on. I
With
know that
Joey. Oh, Central Coast, sorry.
yeah, this is, we got a lot of centrals anyway, Central Valley. I know that they did have their first meeting in a year yesterday. They had a nice potluck thing. Luna was just telling us about it. So they're kicking back and getting active again. Okay, San Diego. Anybody want to talk for San Diego? Judy?
Hi, I'm Judy Pataxo. I am past president of FANHS San Diego,
Oh,
Tina
not past.
Barlalong of San
Past.
Diego. Oh, I guess of chapters too, Joni, please advise me. But I am president emerita of national. Tina Barlalong could not join us today, but I did want to say that she did join us last year, and it was many thanks to Lillian, because we did do a president's gathering on Zoom last year, and some of the presidents were here. So it's nice to see you all again, and thank you, FANHS Hampton Roads, for doing this again this year. What FANHS means to me is Kapwa, connections, history. Edwina and I are on organizational capacity, and she did mention that this was happening today, so I wanted to come and be of support. So thank you all for doing it again.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy.
Anybody from Alaska? And then Monterey Bay?
Yeah, Richard Villegas here. FANHS is everything from old friends, meeting new friends, history, is some of them are as told and untold, family history, and working together with Filipino community, the Asian cultural experience for getting on TV for the local television has to share your holidays and donate money, and worked on a book and finished a book in 2017. And sadly, one of our members passed away yesterday, and she had all these wonderful stories. And we asked her, can you write a story? Even one of our members said, talk and I will just type it. And she said, no, thank you, I won't do that. For some reason, she didn't want to. But greetings from Monterey Bay.
Thank you. And LA chapter, anybody want to, anything for the LA chapter? I know that they're planning a Ron Buenaventura and the students are doing a field trip in July up here to the museum, and they're going to do a joint venture with the students in the Stockton chapter. And just so we can get these students involved and try and keep them interested in continuing on what FANHS is doing. So, okay, New England?
No.
Nothing? Okay. Fresno, we've been trying to contact somebody in Fresno and no one knows, who's left around there. Okay, number 12 is Linda Claramo. What does FANHS mean to you?
Okay, thank you, everybody, and good morning and good afternoon. Anyway, I am Linda Claramo. I am the current president of the FANHS Stockton chapter, and I think everyone pretty much said the same. We feel we totally support the mission of FANHS, and that is collecting stories. And we've been doing this, and we've been publishing newsletters. We just came out with our, I don't know if you could see that, we just came out with this, our new one yesterday, and I can send you copies of it. But we don't have a loss of people who want to tell their stories. We already have people lined up, and we're finding out that the most interesting stories are not coming from people that you know, but there are probably the people who are not known. And those are, and we find that they're more credible because they back it up with photos and written documents. And so we do share them. We're going to continue to publish our newsletter. We're finding out the newsletter is our best vehicle for communication because we have 180 members right now. ranging from students all the way to people who are in their late 90s. And not everyone is on the internet. So we can't do like fancy podcasts or Facebook Lives because a lot of them are not on the internet and they prefer written documents. So we're going to continue doing that. So we also just met yesterday, first time we got together in person. We had a good showing. And so we are, as Terry said, we're working with Ron. We have our students and his students are getting together. And if you get it, when you get to copy this newsletter, we ask them specifically, our students, how can we engage and recruit youth? And they gave us some good responses. So I'll share this with you. And also why do they want to learn about Filipino American history? They responded some interesting answers. So anyway, I'll share that with you. And that's basically what we're doing right now. We're very active. So.
Okay, thank you,
That's it.
Linda.
Okay.
Okay, next is Midwest. Anybody from the Midwest chapter? And then we have the Central Coast chapter. Unmute, yeah, very good.
Central Coast chapter. My name is Joe Talogan. I am the president of the Central Coast chapter here in Santa Barbara County. We've been in existence now for 20 some years, and the chapter has put out 2 books so far. Some of the members put the book together, and there's one of them here, the latest one. But I would like to say that I grew up here in Central Coast in the farming town of Guadalupe. My father came from the Philippines in 1928 and worked in the field farms, and we grew up on the farms here, and so my life has always been close to the Manones and working with them in the fields.
You and Mom were founders.
Mhm.
You and Mom were founders. of
So
Central Coast.
my wife, Margie Talogan, and myself were very active in the Filipino community here in Central Coast and also up in Sonoma County back in the 1970s. So when we moved back here to Central Coast, we established the chapter here and created the memorial at Morro Bay of the first Filipino landing in 1587. That was part of the activities that we presented here at the Central Coast.
What does FANHS mean to you?
And many FANHS members were there that day in 1995. But because I myself lived the life of, I was born in 1930, so I grew up during the Depression years, and I lived right with the farm workers and Filipino farm workers. So I know the life that they struggled and worked hard through all those years. So with that inspiration of learning all the history of the Filipinos coming here in those years and struggling, it inspired me to write my own book. So I have a book out and written about the history of the Filipinos here in the Central Coast. So it's on Amazon. It's called Mestizo Through My Eyes. And most of all, what FANHS means to me is that we preserve the history of the very important history of our elders that came here and struggled through the years. I have met many people over the years working in the community, and it's really been an inspiration for me to be a member of FANHS. And I'm very inspired to see the young people get involved. I think the history should be preserved and archived, and more teachers become involved in teaching the history of not only the Filipino, but many of the other ethnic groups that worked in the farms and throughout California. We have a great, rich history here, and it should be told. It should be, the young people should learn about it and be part of their education curriculum. So with that, I just want to thank FANHS National today for giving us the opportunity to make, a little presentation here to give you some idea what at least we're doing here in the Central Coast. We do have a cultural center here in the little town of Guadalupe, and we do have archives, and we do every year we do, except for the COVID-19, we do a fiesta every year, celebrate History Month. So thank you very much.
Yeah, Joe, I have a question. Joe?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Dennis Saflam with FANHS East Bay chapter. I'm here with Vicky Santos, our president. I'm the secretary. My wife and I were down in Morro Bay about 9 months ago, and we went down specifically to look for the Filipino Memorial at Morro Bay. And I found it by accident. It was a long drive now to use a restroom, and I found a porta potty and used it. And then right next to it was the memorial. And I thought that was really a shame that it was located kind of off the path and kind of in a kind of an area where most people don't go. And my question,
go ahead.
Yeah, and my question is, can we do something about that? Can we get the city to move it closer to the shoreline on that nice, walking path?
Yeah, that's nice to hear. We are, Central Coast FANHS is very involved in, we had a visitor also from LA inquiring about the location. So we're going to get it relocated, and it's going to be more public access and respectful. We're very offended by how they placed it next to a porta potty. So we're working on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Can we help out at all?
I think through this will give us an opportunity to reach out and give you guys an update of what's taking place when you do travel. It's well worth seeing because it is a historical site. So we definitely would love the support of our national chapters or our local chapters. Any support, but Morro Bay is well aware. There's been letters, and they're supportive and cooperative. So it's going to happen.
Okay. Do you need any money to help out with that? Is there any cost involved that you have to?
No.
There's no cost at this time. But again, because of COVID, this chapter has not pursued, but it is on our table, and we're definitely going to be looking at that. So we appreciate that support.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Okay, next up is anybody from Vallejo? And then I know they have their festival going on today. Santa Clara Valley. And then we have East Bay, Vicky or Dennis, which one?
Hi all, I'm Vicky Santos, and I'm acting president of East Bay. And what FANHS has meant to me, I've been a member since mid-90s, is that it's been a validation and affirmation of our presence in the US and our contributions to the American history. I was born and raised in Chicago in 45, and my mother is turning 100 next December. And what FANHS has done for me is made me value what our monongs have done. Some years ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I helped my mother write a small memoir, and she documented or spoke in her own words about her voyage to the US in 1929 when she was 7 years old, and gives a vivid description of what it was like to be on a ship for 30 days coming across, and then her and her mother crossed the country by train and what that was like. I don't think, I'm really encouraged by our youth who are starting to see the value of those who went before us, and they're seeing it earlier. I unfortunately didn't have that presence of mind growing up. We didn't have a place like FANHS to give us the guidance on how to collect those stories and the oral histories. I actually worked with my mother for a year. She sent me letters, 3-4-page letters every week, and I collected those and put those in a book. I didn't realize until years later that she and her group of friends formed the first Filipino-American credit union in the US in the 60s. And she helped to, with the help of her committee, raise funds by running weekly bingo games in Chicago for 23 years to fund the mortgage for the Rizal Center there. These are things it just never occurred to me until I joined FANHS that these were real contributions, and I thank FANHS for inspiring me to even collect those stories. So for our newer chapters, I hope you will be doing those oral histories and collecting those stories from your families. Thanks.
Thank you, Vicki. Next in New York, do we have anybody from Metropolitan New York? I didn't see them signed up. I mean, they signed up, but I don't see them on here. Okay, next is Seattle. Barbara. Unmute.
Unmute. Unmute.
Hi, my name is Barbara Bragano, and I am the chapter president for FANHS Greater Seattle. And today, June 27th, is a very important day for our chapter because it is our 31 years ago we were chartered as the 5th chapter in the Filipino American National Historical Society. So happy birthday to us on this hot, swithering day in Seattle when we never reach 100 degrees and have no air conditioning. So, I'm sweating even though it's about 12:30 p.m. It's already hot. I'm not used to that like in Virginia Beach, right, Edwina? Or in Hawaii, right, Patricia? So the question, what does FANHS mean to you in your chapter? I feel as if the people who I've met in FANHS, I've known practically all my life. If you are ever in the Filipino youth activities or involved or went to church at Immaculate Conception Church on 18th Avenue, then that's also part of FANHS. FANHS to me is history and the love of family and the stories that went with being a Filipino American in America, specifically in Seattle. I think that's all I really have to say. I feel as if that it's amazing. If you've never been to the archives, it's just amazing how much information has been collected, in that small room downstairs in the Immaculate Conception High School. And just to see just the work that has been done all these years, all the information that has been captured. When you come to the conference in 2022, I hope you do visit the archives and just appreciate the largest collection of Filipino American history that lives in those walls. And by the way, the archives has moved now. Auntie Dorothy started moving downstairs where it's a lot cooler. It's a mess right now, and I was supposed to meet with her a few days ago, and she told me not to go. I just tore my ACL, so I can't really move anywhere. But it's quite amazing to see all the work that is being put that has been gathered, throughout these years. Wow, I think that's pretty much what I have to say. It's family to me. FANHS to me means family, and just as like family here in Seattle, it's family across the United States. And I've met most of the people, here in this room, and so very, very happy to have worked with you, to have met you. I know John and Maria, you're on here too. I'm so glad to see you on board, and thank you so much for attending. And and by the way, and one of the most important things I wanted to mention is that the only reason that I got here where I am right now is because my brother recruited me. And if you don't know who he is, that's Dr. B. Alan Bergano. He is my older brother. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, which brings us to Hampton Roads.
Hey, so I was listening to everyone, also recording everyone's answers, and which you guys will get later. So for me, FANHS, it means opportunity. And the opportunity that FANHS has given me since I first discovered my own personal history and also the history of Filipino Americans is the opportunity for self-discovery, the opportunity to build connections, the opportunity for me to learn about myself and Filipino Americans, and also the legacy from the Philippines, and also the opportunity for me to have and build lifelong friendships with many of you guys in the Zoom who we've laughed and told stories and I've learned from, and many of you in the Zoom have mentored me. So for a lot of you young folks out there, those are the things that you guys can look forward to when it comes to FANHS, because I joined FANHS when I was 23 years old. And I'm not 23 anymore, but in those years, I definitely have been given those 4 opportunities, which I cherish dearly. And I'm sure everyone can kind of understand what I'm saying. So opportunity is the word that I'm going with. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Okay, San Francisco, Lillian.
Hi, everybody. So my name is Lillian Villaraza. I am the chapter administrator for San Francisco's FANHS chapter. We've kind of hit a roadblock. I did it last year because we held our first ever meeting on March 10th. And then we all shut down on March 13th. So we're in a moment right now where we're trying to revive and recollect. And what I'm actually really interested in is thinking about opportunity and supporting current projects that are actually being done and not, so right now individually, right, I'm working with Janet Alvarado and her team on some really wonderful work that she's doing with her father's photography. I'm working on a project with the Philippine consulate. And so trying to figure out how to engage, not just, and I apologize to everybody, but I'm really kind of, I'm turning 45 and I've been called youth for a very long time. And I think we need to kind of rethink what we mean when we say that and how we kind of put people into those categories when we say youth and how that is received as well. Just saying, because I think it could also be a turnoff for a lot of folks when we say the youth, the youth, the youth. And so just to be clear, right, I'm very much interested in supporting projects that newer and current and longtime members of FANHS are doing across the nation. I'm particularly interested in supporting folks who are just coming into FANHS and finding their feet in FANHS. And seeing how they can cultivate and develop projects and things and really kind of connect other folks. So for FANHS, I'm also the national trust, one of the national scholars for FANHS. So I also see this as a moment for me to be of continuing service, right, in that way. So yeah. That I know it kind of answered the question, but it was also somewhere else. But I'm really happy to be here. I'm really happy to see so many folks from San Francisco here. We will have a meeting soon, and I'm super excited to see everybody here on this call. Thank you for having me.
Are you still at San Francisco at the community college? Is your position okay?
Yeah. And that's part of FANHS history too, right? So just really quickly, I was on the chopping block. The Philippine Studies Department was on the chopping block because I was going to be potentially laid off. And I do want to say thank you to Jeffrey Acosta and FANHS Hampton Roads for sending in that letter of support, and everybody else who did the same thing. Because yes, I still have a job. We still have a department, and continually in service to what FANHS does as well, but also kind of thinking about how we can cultivate other institutionalized programs and departments across the nation. And through partnerships and things like that, with different organizations and different community colleges, universities, and organizations like FANHS. So yeah, and thank you, Auntie Jenny, for asking. But yeah, it's kind of nuts, so.
Congratulations.
Yay.
Thank you, Lily. So now we're down to number 2 chapter, which is Jay Pollard, and then Oregon will be the one to cap it. So go ahead, Jay. Tell us, what does FANHS mean to you?
Yes, FANHS to me means seeing to it that the history and the lessons of the past are preserved for the future generations, of course, and continuing the work that those who came before us started. And for me, locally, I'm trying to do the same thing with the local Sacramento area, trying to share and learn and preserve the local history here in the Sac Delta area.
Okay. Okay. And then Oregon chapter, Jamie.
Hello.
Hello.
Greetings from Portland.
You're number 1.
They tell me it's going to be 111 degrees today.
Portland, wow.
Yeah. Anyway, we're number 1. Yes, I think we started this thing from the beginning back in '88. It's been a long time, and we've had quite a bit of accomplishments that our historians have kept track of. Anyway, I am so happy to see all of you. I know I've only met a few of you. Hopefully we'll be able to see you in Seattle next year. That would be nice. Just as a backgrounder, I have been in Portland for 60-some years. I came to the US in 1959. I joined the US Coast Guard. I joined in Sangley Point, Cavite, back when I think the dollar exchange was 2 to 1. So that's many years ago. I'm one of the old timers here now. And during the day, of course, my job, I'm a structural engineer. I also happen to be a publisher of a newspaper called the Asian Reporter here, which I started back in 1986. So it's an old paper. It's been here for quite a while. So anyway, I'd like to be able to tell you about the history of our chamber, of our chapter, but I do have our historian and vice president in the group right now. Her name is Ligaya Hambert. Maybe some of these things that we plan to do this coming year, Ligaya can tell you more about it. Ligaya, are you there? Hello.
Hello, everybody. Ligaya Humbert here. I defer to Jimmy Lim, who is one of our old timers now, not one of our youth. But he is. We're very honored to have him as our current president. I was president for this chapter for a few years. I was several other years, and this year. I am the current vice president. So following the questions on what FANHS mean to us here, for me, I would say it is the enhanced visibility that the Filipinos are really lacking, and we really have to look for. And Jimmy here as our president, current president, is really a big help because he's the publisher of the current, still very active Asian Reporter here in Oregon, based in Portland. We are the first chapter of the FANHS National by virtue of association, because when the chapter was formed, one of our founders, Lourdes Markley, was sitting next to Dorothy Cordova. So we had the advantage of being one of the first group that was active during that time. In fact, I became a member of FANHS during after the first convention here in Portland, the convention in 1998 that was here in Portland. And since then, the chapter had been doing symposium every year. And last year, because of COVID, we held our first virtual symposium. And our sponsor, we are very proud to say, was a group of young people, young under 50. And these are the activist group. We had 5 activist groups in Portland and Oregon area. And we had a 3-day virtual conference. And I don't know what other chapters had done that, but Jimmy was already the president at that time. He started in 2020. And we were very proud to say that we're one of the chapters who held our conference virtually. And over 3 days, 3 Saturdays, and our movers and doers were the young people who are head of the activist group in Portland. And this year, we're planning another conference that we'll probably be doing virtually. And our objective is going to touch the 2020 catastrophe. We haven't had the formal what we have finally decided to do, but we're thinking of touching the 5 catastrophic events that happened during 2020. The first thing being COVID, and then the race, the fire, the ice storm, and the gender reconciliation, the gender issue that's going through right now. And being virtual has a big advantage. The pandemic brought us and shoot us very fast forced us into the virtual environment, which on one advantage, we are able to connect everybody, more people now, like what we're doing now. We have all the presidents for the first time seeing each other person to person, even though it's by computer. On the flip side, though, we are behind. The people who don't have the access to the computers, which we don't know how many, are being left behind further and further away. So that's what we're trying to address and see what we can do. Hopefully the FANHS National will have the answer to that, and we're looking to your leadership. That's it for us.
Okay, very good. Let's give each other a hand. Big hand, everybody.
The New York chapter is here, so Isabella can update us on what FANHS means to the New York chapter.
Hi everyone, my name is Isabella Villacampa. I also go by Isa. I'm the co-president with Noella Glubat for Metro New York chapter. What FANHS to me means is, I think it's a really beautiful opportunity for intergenerational connection. I think that's something we talk about a lot. Our board right now has a lot of different generations represented, and so it's just a really meaningful intergenerational opportunity. Thank you.
Okay. Terry, what we'd like to do now, let me summarize what I've gotten so far, okay? What FANHS means to us. It's to close the gap between generations, opportunity to think of our parents. It's to inspire the younger generation. It's about self-love. It's about carrying on the legacy, Kapwa, meeting friends, preservation of history, validation, opportunity, enhanced visibility, and intergenerational connection. And I would like to add one more, and it's empowerment. I mean, think about it. Filipino American National Historical Society. That was formed because we weren't really covered in this Asian history stuff. So we decided, wait a minute, we value ourselves as Filipino Americans. So therefore, we're going to start our own organization and our own history. So that in itself is big, to have a Filipino American National Historical Society. You don't see no Japanese Historical Society, Vietnamese Historical Society, correct? And if anything, this is a very valid national organization. Another thing is Filipino American History Month. That's freaking bold. You know, that's passed by Congress. Filipino American History Month. Think about that. This is what this organization does, is that we empower ourselves to value who we are and where we come from. So with that said, I'm going to leave it to the membership committee to invite you to our constant meetings for the next year, I guess. So Terry, Patricia, who else is there? Karen and Edwina. You guys could wrap up this. Oh, by the way, I'm consider this, Judy, and all you upper trustee people, to rename membership committee. I think they should be quality control. When I say quality control, if you guys got a gripe, contact Edwina.
No.
Or Terry.
Okay.
This committee, I feel could really add and control a lot of the problems that we could solve. So with that said, I give it back to, say, Patricia.
Okay, thank you, Alan. First of all, before we go any further, I'd like to call on Judy Pataxil and remind her that, you know, there's a lot of gratitude heading her way. Probably she's not expecting it, but in the things that have happened over the last couple of years for me, I realized that what happened, it made me remember that what happened to FANHS Hawaii State when we first started. Judy was there for me, and I got a lot of support from her, and I don't know that I really thanked her for that. Coming back on the other side of the conference, however, I'm realizing that we need to think about the things that we've received from other people's funds. One of them has to be with Judy. Judy, thank you very much. Another one has to be with Joni. She one-liner inspirations that I received from her at the conference in Chicago. The history with FANHS Hawaii is really quick. We were twin of Delano, the Delano chapter. We were both in there in 2015. 2016, we became, we were okayed or voted in to head the conference in 2020. The COVID happened, so obviously we didn't, but in the entire time, there was a lot of growing for FANHS Hawaii State. And so, but without common support, I think it would have been much more difficult for us to find our way through that. We were so excited about the conference and having all of you here. So what happened when COVID came in is our work went down the side pathway, and I had to think about what other people were thinking and what other people were wanting, and where does FANHS Hawaii fit in all of this. We've since been doing a lot of things, and I'd like to thank also Linda Claramo for her efforts in putting out that newsletter. That's the best one we've seen so far. We are going to do something like that. So Linda, if you see ours, just take it as an inspiration from your part. The reason I'm bringing all of this back, thank yous at this point is because with gathering the presidents together, it's a forum for us to not only thank, not only get advice, not only get suggestions, but make a connection. This is very exciting for us in Hawaii. Our situation here is very different from all of yours. So we do listen to what you're having to say. So what we want to do is make this about the presidents. And so what we'd like to do is give you the feedback in an email, have you respond to it, and then we'll figure out what, where we go from there. Basically, let us know what you'd like to see happen, what what your concerns are, what you'd like to see addressed, all those kinds of things. And informally, we'll get those listed and back to you so we know where we're going starting the next meeting. Our next meeting, I guess we decided, Ellen, on the second Monday of each month.
6 p.m. Pacific time.
Yeah. So we'll send an email reminding everybody this is what we're going to do, and hopefully more presidents will join us in the future.
Okay. Okay. My name is, are you done, Patricia?
Yeah.
Okay. So my name is Edwina. I'm also on the membership committee, which includes Terry as the chair, Patricia Brown, and myself, Edwina. And I just wanted to let everyone know that, we're putting this, reaching out to our members. Of course, we need to talk about the specific reason for membership and the 1/3 and all that. We're probably going to get to that probably in the future meetings. But today was just to meet you all and find out where you're at. And it's great to see everybody. Just wanted to let you know that in order for us FANHS to move forward, we have to have great communication. So this is the beginning. Not everything's perfect, but we're starting. So we're so glad that you're on this journey, and we look forward to connect with you. As you know, I am the spouse of Alan Bergano, and we've worked with FANHS. I was there from the very beginning, back 36 years ago. So we bring a lot of history as far as knowing what's going on with FANHS and how we're going to move forward. And we're looking forward to moving forward. And also not to mention about that the presidents will be invited to the next trustees meeting, which would be in July 25th. And that you all are invited there as well. So we will keep you posted as to what we can do in the future as far as maintaining relationships and being part of the membership, committee. It's more than just a membership committee, but it's actually establishing relationships so that we can all work together and so that you all know what's going on. Okay, so thank you from me. And is Emily here? She said she was going to drop by. Okay,
Emily's here.
Okay, great. I don't know if Karen want to say something to wrap up before Emily comes on, or.
Oh, hi again. I'm Karen Penrich. Before we go to questions, if anybody has questions, I'd like Emily to say a few words, if you don't mind, Emily.
One word.
Wow.
Salamat.
Yeah, thank you.
I put in the chat what I had to say. I just want to thank you all for being here today. So nice to see all of you. I want to thank the membership committee and the Hampton Roads chapter and FANHS Now for hosting and organizing this. It's a great initiative. Edwina is our chapter liaison, and Terry is our membership committee chair, and they're all really doing an excellent job. We've made incredible progress in the last year since they've assumed those positions, and I'm so proud of all the work that you're doing. In the chat is some information about our next trustees meeting. We have trustees meetings every quarter, every 3 months, usually on Sunday at noon. And chapter presidents are actually welcome and invited to all trustees meetings, but in particular this one we really want you to come because Greater Seattle chapter president Barbara Bergano, who's also on here, is our FANHS 2022 conference chair, and she will be giving the conference report update at that meeting. So rather than us trying to repeat everything 40 times, we want to invite you all or your representative. If you can't make it, you can send another officer or representative from your chapter. I think we will have some registration form or something emailed to you so we know you're coming. That should be going out this week. Okay. And we'll also be discussing the 2021 History Month theme. So I'm really looking forward to seeing you all there again in a month, and also seeing you in Seattle, my hometown, next year for the conference. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we close, does anybody have any questions, comments?
I have a question. This is Barbara. Hello?
Yes.
Okay,
Go ahead.
my question is that the initial email that was sent to the chapter presidents included 3 questions. And so as my understanding, I think this is what Patricia said, and so correct me if I'm wrong, that the other questions that that were posed, that will be either discussed, or are the responses going to be compiled and then distributed? Or are we just going to have another meeting to talk about the second question and then another meeting to talk about the third question?
Carrie, do you want to answer that?
Or Patricia?
Patricia
can answer that.
It's something that Edwina and Alan,
No, I think Patricia can answer that question.
The primary reason for this meeting was to meet and greet. We didn't want, we decided not to get into the business aspect of it and really elicit your concerns, your questions, your comments, so that we can share those in between this meeting and the next meeting. And then, determine what is most important to address. Basically, Barbara, you hear from us between now and the next meeting, and then we can we're hoping to get down to business starting the next meeting. Does that answer your question?
Not really. No, I guess because I thought the next 2 questions were really important, because because it's talking about roles and responsibilities and expectations. And I think that's a very good conversation, even if we had some, even if Auntie Dorothy was there, and I know some of you guys are trustees, but to define the expectations, I mean, there'd be a gap analysis so that people be straight, especially the presidents. If they're going to be carrying out the mission of FANHS and the expectations are totally skewed from what we see and what you see and vice versa, I think we'll set this organization in alignment and we could move forward together.
Barb, we did have some answers already, but we want to share them at the next meeting. So people have been responded to that. They did respond.
I know. I just want to know what other people said. It'd be nice to have all of the responses shared by the presidents to see what everyone else had said. And if there are commonalities, I think it's good to put the commonalities together just to see what if we have the same kind of expectations, not only from the presidents and how we see the board of trustees or the presidents are, but vice versa. I mean, there's new officers now in the board, so I think it's a really good time to lay out what the expectations are from the board to the chapter presidents.
Yeah, we got you. We're going to address that at the next meeting.
Barbara, they're going to meet. The presidents are going to meet once a month, the second Monday, 6 o'clock Pacific. For the next meeting, that one of those questions could be that topic. We have not outlined the whole year. Today,
that's great. That's fine.
And
the comments
Alan
did put
right
the
now,
comments.
Ray, cut the recording. Turn the recorder off. So, because one of the things that we want to do in FANHS Now is to keep the thing 1 hour. Now, if you guys